I am so sorry. I lost the whole intro for this build. Gone. Don't know where. Went into the abyss. So instead of yapping a ton, let's run down the major key points and then jump straight into this build. You guys see the title, FNAF build. I briefly mentioned it in my last video, and you know what I didn't mention in my last video? The actual final result pictures of, the Bloodborne build. It looks so sick, and I am so sorry I didn't put it at the end of my last video. I personally was sick, editing with a fever, so it just completely went over my head, and then I just posted the video and I was like, yep, I'm done. There was something I needed to put in at the end there, huh? So sorry, Ali, if you're seeing this. This is their setup. It looks so unbelievably sick. Personally, my favorite part is our little shelf fan cover there is the perfect size for their Bloodborne figurine, and it fits the vibe so well. I do apologize so dearly. It just went straight over my head. I was not feeling well. But today's build is a Five Nights at Freddy's build, a game of which I haven't personally played, but my younger sibling had it as a hyperfixation for years. So girl, I know the lore in and out, and I actually really do love the Five Nights at Freddy franchise. I have a sketch portion for this build. I did kind of mock it up in Photoshop originally, just to get some idea of what I wanted to do, but I had a pretty clear inspiration and idea from the set date. This was a build that I was really excited to do because it means that I got to bring more aspects outside of PC building into the artistry of this build. You'll understand more later what I mean by that, but it's my favorite thing that happens when I do these builds. I really don't have anything else to say other than at the end of the video I will be referencing the fan covers and clicky button we used today in this build. They will be for sale on our website. Let's just jump straight into Motherboard. Not me not realizing that my camera is not even focused for arguably the most aesthetically pleasing part about putting a motherboard together, putting your processor in, and my camera is not even focused for it. Girl, I am a mess in this video today. I am sorry. I am so over filming on my phone. I think this is going to be one of the last YouTube videos I ever film on my iPhone, and I'm just going to buy an actual camera. Usually right now is when I'd be installing the RAM, but for this project I'm actually going to circle back to the RAM at the very end. I want to do some customizing. This is not the first nor the last time I'm gonna say this, but I did lose the footage of me putting in the M.2, so just imagine I put their storage in, okay? This is my first time working in the black and red height Y70 case, and look at the absolute rainbow of Y70s we're working on right now. This was the week where we had 10 builds line up in 1 week, and we had an absolute rainbow display of height PC cases in our garage all at once. Also, I feel like this red and black height Y70 case is so slept on. You never see anybody building in these cases, and I think it's just the perfect case for the FNAF build that we're going for today. Would it be a vampire doll zombie tech gaming build if we did not use the NZXT RGB core fans? I really don't know. I always recommend these fans because the way we make our silhouette style fan covers, they just look the best when the fan can illuminate all the way through. They can be a little annoying to work with because you have to plug them into NZXT RGB controller hubs in the back, but we're gonna deal with that later. Tell me why I've built 20 PCs now, and only recently I had the epiphany after watching somebody else's video that you could install the radiator fans while the radiator's not installed, then install the radiator so you don't have to deal with installing fans upside down. I feel like I might have done that for a build or two in the past and it just didn't really click, but this was like a canon event moment of realizing that I could have just been installing those fans laying down this whole time. The only thing you really have to make sure is that your fan cables can be routed out the back and not out the front, because that's ugly. This is the only step of building a PC that I would say is easier if you have two people. Having somebody hold your radiator in place while you pull out all the cables and make sure they're in the right channels. That's not to say you can't do it alone, you absolutely can, but if you do have a secondary person there, that is pretty helpful. So in Five Nights at Freddy's, they have these little stars that hang along the ceiling, and I was heavily inspired by these Christmas lights, but obviously they don't make miniature-sized Christmas lights like that. I wish they did. What they do make is fairy lights, especially these fairy lights that are USB powered, which would be super great for a PC because I can route this cable through back behind the graphics card and it can just plug into the computer itself. You wouldn't have to worry about like a box or batteries or anything because it'll just plug into the back of the PC. I want some kind of like hanging star lights going on inside the case. I also want it to be removable. So I kind of sketched up an idea of like a magnetic comb almost, what I've kind of been calling it. There's like slots for me to put down pixie lights and interweave them in between. Basically, I'm gonna install some magnets along the back here, and I'm aiming for the metal side of the radiator above the CPU cooler. I'm gonna use some kind of weaker magnets, and hopefully and theoretically you should just be able to, you know, boom, put it in there and it'll stick to the side of the radiator, no issue. So for this first hook, I'm literally just gonna do where the cable changes. If this makes any sense, I just plan to weave the pixie lights because it's this wiry material down the comb and back up and back down. I'm making loops, and then I'm gonna be taking the loops and obviously securing them with a dot of hot glue and twisting them so they're more just like dowels that'll go straight down. It's easier said than done. I'm just gonna move forward with weaving the rest of this through and jump to when I'm gonna be twisting them. So we have a bunch of different varying lengths of the wire just in these loops right now, and I used like a dot of hot glue for each one just to hold it in place, but it is ultimately like temporary. If this strand of lights were to ever die, hot glue is very easily removable, especially from plastic. And I plan to include one more strand of lights just in case. You know, LEDs do have a lifespan to them, and if they were to ever die, she could fairly easily replace the lights. Now that I've got these loops, I'm literally gonna stick my finger in the very end and twist, 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 twist until it's like one stick. Brandon printed these little stars. They split in half and pop together, and they're modeled to have a little hole in them big enough to fit a pixie light inside if the pixie light is to end, like the end of the strip on a light, which I tried to make it so a handful of them do. I mean, I was limited with the length of pixie light, fairy light? What are they called? Little wired LEDs. I had a limited length. I only got one that was like 6.5 feet long. You guys don't pay me to do mental math, you pay me to build computers. These, they'll pop on, but I'm gonna dip the very end of the light in just a tiny bit of hot glue. Once again, just to make sure they have a good hold on the inside of these little stars. what I'm talking about. It's by no means perfect, but I think it gets the visual representation you're going for. Not all of the stars have lights in them just because they didn't all end in a light, but I felt like the major ones that did were really pretty with these solid stars. I didn't want them to all be the same height, so we do have some height variants, but they're by no means perfect. They're done by hand. You can see a little hot glue here and there that I'll be cleaning up before I put it in. Guys, the radiator's aluminum. I'm a McFucking idiot. I maybe should have checked that previously. So what I'll probably do is some double-sided tape in very small quantity. So in the end, it is removable still. You're just gonna have to re-put the tape down. Lost it long ago, you're not alone, baby. Can't wait to meet you. Fucking, oh my. It's certainly not perfect. It's very imperfect in its own way, but oh, it looks so good, and it'll look really good behind the glass. And going with that star theme, I did not install the RAM just yet because I want to do vinyl along the top of the RAM. Originally, she wanted to get the Corsair Dominator sticks, but then the RAM market collapsed. So we have the Vengeance sticks. I'm thinking of giving it a Dominator style makeover, but instead of the little squares, maybe little stars. Maybe little stars. That might be cool. I went into Photoshop and I designed this star vinyl. I had Brandon measure the front face of the Corsair Vengeance RAM, and we got this measurement. Of course, I took it into Cricut Design Space and I cut it out in black vinyl. I will make this file for the RAM covering available on the website for free, just as a free download if anybody else also has a Cricut or vinyl cutting machine and wants to make little stars on their RAM. And who would have thought 2 little strips of vinyl could make RAM look so good? And I cannot express how wrong it felt to be customizing RAM at the height of the RAM market crisis. That was insane. Now to go for that iconic checkered tile trim on the Five Nights at Freddy's building, we're going to be going in with some racers and pinstriping tape. These tapes are specifically made for going on race cars or, like, I don't know, fancy classic cars that you want to pinstripe. But I will be using it for this glass here. Doing it with this tape actually gave me a much cleaner finish than if I had to do it with individual vinyl pieces that I had to cut out on my Cricut and place down. I love my Cricut, but transferring small shapes over and over and over again and getting them to line up perfect is like next to impossible. Whereas doing it with this tape actually turned out so clean and so nice. I was very impressed. And if you're curious on which racers and pinstriping tape I used, I will link the materials down in the description below if you want to use them for your own projects. I do make a little mock-up of what it would look like if I did the pattern all the way around the case, including on the touch screen, and then I scanned that so I could use that background on the background that I made for the touch screen, so we could continue that checkered and red stripe pattern along onto the touch screen at the same exact size as the tape itself. That was unnecessarily difficult to explain. I promise once you see what I mean, it'll make complete sense. In the meantime, we installed a custom set of 5 Five Nights at Freddy's classic fan covers. The 5 includes Freddy, Chica, Foxy, Bonnie, and Golden Freddy. There is a slight variance between each Freddy. And the last things we really have to do mechanically and assembly-wise for this PC build is to install our graphics card riser and our graphics card again. And off camera, I made that background for the touchscreen. And very last minute, Brandon had the brilliant idea to design a 25-cent arcade machine style push to start button. And I'm telling you, that last second idea pulled this entire build together. Because look at this. From the RAM to the stars to the fan covers to the backgrounds. I love bringing in stuff that isn't relative to PC builds, like racing and car tape, into PCs. I'm obsessed with the fan covers, and they will be available on our website at zombietechgaming.com. You can buy them individually at $10 a fan cover, or if you buy them as a 5 set, it is $40. On top of that, the RAM little vinyl coverings with the stars are available as a free download on the website. Same with the stars themselves. If you want to do something similar with fairy lights and you want to use those stars files, Brandon will put the STL file for the stars up for free. The button we're selling on the website might be a tad bit cleaner than this original one. This was genuinely our first ever prototype of something like this. It was really a last minute pull on Brandon's end. Of course, all of the important information and links will be linked down in the description as always, but for the last of this video, let's just enjoy a montage and we'll catch up at the very end. So what do you guys think? Be nice. Definitely one of the more fun builds that I've ever done. I love when I get to integrate things that don't necessarily have anything to do with PC buildings into custom builds. Like the pinstriping tape and the racing tape, like these are for cars and I integrated them into a build. I just think that's so fun. Same with like the custom little dangly stars out of pixie lights. You wouldn't have been able to find that at a store. I love builds that I can integrate things that have nothing to do with computers into them. Remember my medical tape on the AIO tubes? Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. My garage is really ugly right now, and I do apologize. I know I didn't get as much footage, and I haven't for these last 2 videos, just because my garage is a disaster. Best metaphor I can give: have you ever tried to cook in a kitchen and then somebody else tries to do the dishes, but both in a kitchen that is too small for 2 people, and then you guys both kind of want to rip each other's head off? That's exactly what Brandon and I have been experiencing in our single car garage that we're trying to run a small print farm for cathedral kids while simultaneously building like 6 computers at a time on the other side of the garage, all while this garage is about the size of my living room. So when we first launched our business at the end of October, early November, we received so much love and support and everything that it kind of pushed our business in the right direction to keep growing, because we had to upgrade our workspace and get a bunch of 3D printers, and pushed us out of our comfort zone for sure. But I definitely think we're gonna thank ourselves later for hustling down so hard these first couple weeks. I appreciate everybody's patience and love. I know some things like the cathedral kits have taken longer than anticipated to ship out. The whole fiasco with that is we got a new 3D printer, like brand spanking new out the box. And it is the same 3D printer as we have another of. One, our older one, works perfectly fine and is normal, but the newer one had a bazillion issues with it when we first got it, and the return process has been hell. Yeah, this has been an absolute ramble. I'm just reflecting on my first like 2 months, month and a half, 2 months of a business, and whew. I work from the second I'm awake to the second I'm asleep. And a goal for 2026, because it is at the turn of the new year, this is probably going to be my January video, so you may be seeing it already in 2026, is I need to prioritize work-home life balance, which is hard when your work is at home and your home is at work, and those commingle quite often. So 2026 goal is keep this business afloat, keep it going, keep it chugging, maybe potentially in the future, maybe a year out, getting to the point of which we can, you know, have a fulfillment center, have a place that's not our garage, and be able to work outside of our garage. But we're not there yet. That's just a hope. That's a manifestation. That's a projection. And I really hope we get there. But I also, if I'm gonna get there, need to prioritize some kind of like work-home life balance, or I'm gonna make myself really sick with my chronic illnesses. Raging caffeine and working from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep with a pizza and a yogurt break in between, not a good decision on my part. Absolutely nobody else's fault but myself. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, now I feel bad, don't. That's all me, dog. I'm 24. I can make my own decisions. I just need to get better at it, as I've never actually been a big business owner before or anything. It's something you learn with time. The first year of a small business is full of trials and tribulations. I'm gonna run, fall on my face, get back up, run, fall on my face, get back up, run, fall on my face. But I'm gonna get back up. Each time we ship out a batch of PCs or a batch of fan covers or a batch of cathedral kits, we are taking in new information about how our business works. We are refining it, getting faster and cleaner and more professional each time. And soon, running this business will be a second nature to me. But it is not even 6 months old yet, so I need to give myself some grace. I still have a lot more to learn as a business owner. I'm still a baby to this, especially in this field, doing something so custom, and like not many pre-building companies offer full customization like we do. I'm not afraid to void a warranty. I'm not, but a big company would be afraid to void a warranty. And understandably so. I love you guys so much. Let me reiterate again, so I hope that didn't get lost in translation. I am so eternally grateful, and I feel like I owe you guys so much, and that's why I feel so guilty when my videos aren't to the standard that I wish they could be. I love me a lengthy notes section and a sketch section. I would love to animate in my videos more and make them kind of like an early 2000s TV show, kids show, where they'd have like notes pop up and text and everything. But I'm not there yet. I'm learning as a YouTuber, as a small business owner, as a wife, as somebody who's renting a house for the first time. Don't own a house yet. Maybe one day though. Probably not in this economy. We're just two people building out of our garage and making dreams a reality. And I'm very happy about this one. These Five Nights at Freddy's fan covers will be available on the website. Link down in the description is my social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You guys are watching this on YouTube, so you know where I am, you know where to find me. I sound like a real YouTuber. It always grosses me out when I'm at the end here, when I gotta say like, comment, and subscribe, but it does help. It does help. I really have nothing else to add on. Sorry this was a shorter build. Oh, it looks good. I'm really proud of this build. So I love you guys, and my garage is not gonna be ugly forever. Okay? Okay.